Grab your bat microphone, it's time to start the show. Like a court of owls, the mystery is starting to grow. Let there be no debate, it's about to begin. Keen like Bruce Wayne, quick like Tim Drake, fierce like Damien. Grab your headphones, listen up, you know you love it. Drop the facade. Like the Dark Knight detective, they've got some perspective. They're a pure crime-fighting collective. It's the Bat Pod.
The Bat Pod presents Gotham Currents, a podcast about current releases of Batman comics.
Welcome to Gotham Currents. My name is Bill Bere, and joining me tonight, John Koos.
You talked me into this, Bill.
Yes, I talked you into it. Are you excited?
I'm excited.
All right.
Are you excited?
I'm very excited. So, just
Cool.
a little intro. If this is your first time listening to the Bat Pod or Gotham Currents, we do the new releases of the Bat books. You know, as far as Infinite Ultra goes. So as soon as they're released on there, we discuss them. So tonight we're entering into All In. We're all in. The Bat Pod is all in.
All in.
All in. So tonight we're going to do Batman 153, Batman and Robin number 14, All In Special number 1, and Absolute Batman number 1. So you're ready?
I'm ready, man. I'm ready.
If you'd like to join the conversation, our email is thepodcast@thebatpod.com. We are on Blue Sky, Threads, and Facebook. Just search the Bat Pod. So we're going to go ahead and let's head to Batman 153.
The Bat Pod is a spoiler podcast. Please read the comics we're reviewing so you can enjoy the show.
So our first book tonight is Batman 153. Your writer, Chip Zdarsky. Art, Jorge Jimenez. Colors, Tamu Mori. Letter, Clayton Cowles. Associate editor, Jessica Bere, and editor, Rob Levin. And we get a cover here. We get the all-in special cover with Batman throwing some batarangs right at us. What do you think of this cover?
I think it's pretty great. I don't have any particular observations. Very exciting cover. It kind of feels like we're entering into this all-in thing, or maybe my mind is predisposed to feel that, but it does feel new. Like we're definitely into a new arc, which we are, but it kind of feels like we're entering into a new story.
A new jumping on point.
Yeah.
Yes. The all-in is supposed to be jumping on points for all these books. So, yeah, pretty cool cover. They all have a white background, I've noticed. Which is okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
But not my favorite. So
I do like the movement on those. I guess those are batarangs.
Yeah.
You don't usually see that kind of blur like that. It looks pretty cool.
I love to see that in artwork, especially when you have it blurred. I have no idea how to do that because I'm not artistic or anything like that. But that's pretty cool. I like seeing that sort of thing. So
very cool.
Your issue starts out, Batman is watching a scene from the rooftop above, having coffee with Jim Gordon. They discuss the apparent calm period in Gotham. The news highlights Edward Nygma, a.k.a. the Riddler, who's been exonerated for his crimes due to being experimented on at Blackgate Prison by Daniel Capio, who has opened a new tech company, Nygma Tech. The company has been drawing attention for its cryptographic security technology, who Mayor Nakano has been publicly critical about. At City Hall, Nakano shows frustration with public opinion divided over Nigma. He is confronted by Linoid, who tries to defend the interests of the Court of Owls in Gotham. The conversation intensifies, leading Nakano to a burst of anger, but is interrupted when Nakano's wife and their son enter the office. Batman confronts Nigma at Nigma Tech. He questions Nigma's intention. Nigma, in turn, tries to justify his actions, claiming that his creations are advancements he built on his own. Batman warns Nigma to stay on the honest path, but he leaves a warning. I'll be waiting in the dark. Nakano is confronted by his wife, who complains about his absence and lack of support at home, and she says she's leaving Gotham with her son. Bruce Wayne is then shown arriving at Wayne Enterprises with his driver Miguel. To deal with his own challenges, he is met with protests outside his building, with people accusing his initiatives of being manipulative and calling him a communist. Bruce is met by Lucius Fox's replacement, Rowan. They discuss the financial difficulties Wayne Enterprises is having for the quarter. Rowan suggests considering a merger to ease the financial strain. Bruce, however, resists the idea and insists they will solve the situation without dramatic measures. After Rowan makes a secret call to Edward Nigma, suggesting she is failing to manipulate Bruce into a merger and it might be time for Plan B. In the streets of Gotham during a car chase that is stopped by Batman and a new masked vigilante called Commander Starr, as Batman grows irritated by Commander Starr's excessive actions as he shoots one of the fugitives, the situation culminates in a verbal clash with Commissioner Savage and Mayor Nakano, who supports the new hero as Savage orders the police to arrest Batman. Later at Thomas Wayne Medical Center, getting attention from Leslie Tompkins, who advises Bruce to see the positive side of his actions and realize the impact he is having on Gotham. Edward Nigma is seen reciting a riddle as Mayor Nakano is suddenly shot twice in the chest, collapsing to the ground. And our issue ends as Bruce Wayne walks home and encounters Rowan, who reveals that he is being sued for half of his majority shares of Wayne Enterprises and asks, do you have a brother? So we jump into this first part, the Dying City Part 1. And I really like this opening scene that we have here. We have, a couple not really familiar in Gotham. They're walking through a back alley and somebody speaks up and says, you're a little lost. But we've seen these kind of things before happen to open up books, sort of thing. But the guy's actually trying to help them.
Mm-hmm.
And you have Gordon and Batman on the roof, drinking coffee. What did you think of this opening scene?
Yeah, I dug it. You normally would expect, okay, here comes a mugging and here comes Batman, from the rooftops. And I just like the way it felt when it doesn't happen. And, of course, Batman's like, this is the calm before the storm kind of a thing. With Jim Gordon's, come on, like, lighten up, man. Like, can you just accept the break for a second kind of thing? And, it's clear that they've known each other forever. They've got that rapport. I thought it had a great feel to it.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And, we get introduced to where Gotham City is at this point. You get the Riddler, which, a lot of this is Chip Zdarsky's run. A lot has been done to the Riddler. He was experimented on, as they say in this little news report here. He was experimented on by Daniel Capito, and they released him, which I don't know if 100% buy that he gets released. After all his crimes, he is exonerated for everything, but I'm just going to go with that.
Well, I'm going to guess a little Court of Owls influence might be part of that.
Yeah, we do see that in here. What are you familiar? How familiar are you with the Court of Owls? I have to ask. And it is a right or wrong question.
I mean, familiar. Speaking of jumping on points, I went all in on New 52, and correct me if I'm wrong, that Batman run, the first arc by Snyder was where we first find, the origin story of the Court of Owls. Do I
Yes.
have that right so far?
Yes, you are right.
Yeah, and I really like that series a lot. It was pretty cool. And so, but honestly, since then, I haven't even had them in my consciousness much.
Yeah, they've been here or there, but they really, I mean, they're in Nightwing book a little bit, but we haven't seen them in the Batman proper book for a while. And they always seem to be like the secret organization nobody knows anything about. But Nakano knows about them. And
Right.
they've been pulling the strings here of everything in the city, and we sort of see, a little meltdown from Nakano and that sort of thing. And I know you don't have a lot of experience with Nakano, but I think, we see what happens at the end here, and I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but we see, his marriage is falling apart. He's having political problems per se. And I'm enjoying where the story is going so far.
You forced me to read the entire Chip Zdarsky run, so I probably did it really quick. But I've seen an evolution of Nakano. He's kind of feels like he's in a vice right now. Like he did things for political expediency, but now he's kind of like developing more of a conscience and getting frustrated with the people pulling his strings, right?
Yes,
pushing back, and he's in deep now.
Yeah, and you see that, and you see how his wife reacts to him, and Batman reintroduces himself to the Riddler, which I really like this scene. The Riddler has this tower, that he purchased. He did this all in 2 months.
I guess while Batman was away dealing with the absolute power stuff or something.
Yeah, they let him out. He developed into this technology, and he has this tower, Nigma Tech.
Yeah. No, I like all these scenes. This book seems so. I mean, I have to ask you real quick: did this book have extra pages, or because it is so well put together? There's not like a wasted panel.
It didn't seem like there were extra pages. I don't know for sure, but yeah, there's a lot of things. It's definitely, it feels like a jumping on point because we're reintroduced to all these different characters and where they are, and you're even have a little Bruce Wayne who's active at a Wayne Enterprises, which you don't see too often. We haven't seen too often. There was a length of time there where he didn't have his money. He was poor, whatever that means. He was only a millionaire instead of a billionaire, but he got that all back.
Right.
And, Lucius Fox isn't there anymore, which I always love Lucius. I love seeing characters like that. We get Rowan, which I have a feeling that she's not going to be around an awful long time because she's dealing with Edward Nygma. But yeah. I did like this, and maybe you can explain what's going on here with this company, because they say there's a lot of dialogue here, but there isn't anything that I can say. Yeah, this is exactly what they're trying to do with, the company.
Don't spring anything on me, Bill, to explain what's going on with the company, but it does seem like he's got some sort of quasi philanthropy work going on that's subsidized by maybe the federal government or the government. And so that's where this accusation comes in that he's like a secret commie, which that's a big stretch, but maybe more will be revealed by Chip later on that score. But Bruce is clearly, she's basically saying it, that because of this new focus on the community and whatnot, there has been less focus on where their bread and butter is, which is developing tech. And so I think nothing that Chip does is wasted. So I think that's important. And, obviously Nygma Tech, she's basically working kind of, I don't know if you call this a corporate double agent, or, we don't know exactly why she's talking to Nigma. Maybe it's noble that she figures that she wants to make sure Wayne Enterprises is financially solvent or whatever. But, it's clear that something's happened before this issue.
Yeah, and we haven't really seen her before, so
Right.
she's a new, I don't think she has Wayne Enterprises,
Best interest in mind.
right, exactly. Because
maybe not.
and then we get introduced to a new character. Batman goes to stop this runaway van, and we get introduced to Commander Starr, who looks a little Captain America, a little Punisher, a little Wolverine. What'd you think of this new character here?
Well, yeah, that's what I was thinking. Sort of, I can walk over there and grab my toy of Commander Steel, sort of from the JSA, sort of a combo of Commander Steel and maybe Captain America, sort of your patriotic character. But you quickly go, okay, this guy's a bit on the extreme side when he pops out blades out of his arms, as opposed, which is not your typical hero deal. And he kind of looks, they're already kind of painting him as sort of a fascist kind of patriot kind of guy, sort of just a bit over the line, like right out of the gate with the shot through the guy's leg. The escape you mentioned in your summary, the escaping bad guy.
Yeah, he shoots him in the knee or the leg, or
right through the leg, and
it looks like he has laser sights on those handguns.
Yeah. And then Batman kind of looks bad because there's all this. It's dark, broad daylight. There's people on the streets, and then when he kicks the driver in the face through the driver's side window, the van kind of careens and then lands on its side, like right in front of all these bystanders, which Batman's kind of looking kind of bad here compared to the other guy, I guess, from sort of just an optics standpoint.
And then you have the commissioner, the new commissioner. So if you haven't been around Batman lately, Vandal Savage is the new police commissioner. And he's sucking up, Commander Starr is sucking up to the commissioner, all right, and they want Batman arrested.
There was a really cool panel right after that where, Batman, he kind of looks Alex Rossish a little bit. You know what I'm talking about? Where the cops all have their guns trained on him. That's a pretty, I can't remember the last time I saw a scene in Batman where he's operating in the daylight like this, which I thought was kind of cool, because it has to happen sometimes. If you think about it. Right?
Yeah. It's different. And this scene you're talking about, the cops are all in red and they're holding the guns at Batman. And you see one little panel where he reaches in his pocket and gets some smoke pellets and just throws them down. And then, of course, he's gone.
Yeah. And they got the Leslie Tompkins scene. Was this a Dawn of DC or post Rebirth thing where she became young, like in her 40s versus like her 70s?
It's possible. I'm not 100% sure about that one, but she does look pretty young here.
Yeah.
And she's talking to Bruce and basically telling him that it's okay. Bruce Wayne can help this city, because she's never been a Batman person, but she's really trying to talk to him about Bruce Wayne and things he could do to improve the city. And
yeah. Is she kind of saying maybe you should do a little less Batman and a little more Bruce Wayne?
Mm-hmm.
And he's basically saying, I kind of got to be both. Because he is both, as we've discussed in the past. Yes. He's not. In fact, some issues kind of make it sound like the alter ego is Bruce Wayne, not the alter ego is Batman. That his real self is Batman. So, anyway, we can that's covered in other stories. But no, I thought that was a great scene. Like I said before, it's like there's so much in this, like these different scenes that it moves along super well, and it's got so much packed in this issue, and it probably because Chip knew it's a good jumping on point, so he's kind of got to like keep us interested that we are ongoing readers, but he also has to keep in mind this is a jumping on point, so he's explaining a few things here and there,
Yeah, absolutely. I did these last 3 pages, are in parallel to the last 2 are in parallel, and the third one has, some cliffhangers here. And you got the Riddler, you got Mare Nakano, and you got Bruce.
right?
And I really like this set of scenes, and the Riddler, Edward Nygma, can only be good for so long, because you thought maybe he might have been cured of this affliction where he has to give these riddles. But we get a riddle here. As Mare Nakano gets shot, and Bruce gets, Rowan meets him out into the street near where he lives, and we get Mare Nakano getting shot in the chest twice, dead. And Rowan telling Bruce, "Do you have a brother?" And I got so excited when I saw this. Maybe not about Nakano dying, because that's a little demented, but Bruce has a brother. If you've read The Court of Owls, but Scott Snyder, you know who I'm talking about. Did I have to tell you, or
I remembered it. I forgot the guy's name, but I don't know.
Lincoln March.
Lincoln March.
Supposedly, right. Thomas Wayne Jr., was involved with the Court of Owls. Last time I think we saw him, they were freezing him to use him later at a later date. So, I'm thinking maybe he might show up next issue. Now, I haven't read the next issue yet, so I don't know. We're just guessing. But I don't know. I'm excited about seeing this version of Quarter of Owls. I'm excited to see it. The supposed brother. What do you think about Bruce Wayne having a brother? Do you think it's really a brother?
I don't remember if we knew for sure if Lincoln March was.
Yeah, we don't know. I mean, there was a possibility. There was a child born, and his mother went to visit at this home, but we weren't 100% sure. It made you think that it might be possible, but I have my doubt. I have my doubts about it.
To answer your question, at first blush, I don't like it, but I do trust certain writers with something like this. Chip Zdarsky's one of them, where it makes me uncomfortable, but I trust his work that it's gonna be really interesting how this story plays out. Whether it ends up being a brother or not, I kind of hope it's not. But if he does it well, then we'll see.
Well, Chip Zdarsky has done a thing or two about continuity that's been around for like ever. I mean, we get a Joker year 1 where the Joker mind was partitioned and that sort of thing, and we get here. Well, this isn't a thing that Chip did, but
that's right.
It'll be interesting to see where this goes. I'm excited to see where this goes. So, final thoughts about this issue?
I don't really got any. But it makes me want more.
Yeah, and that's what you want the last page of an issue to do. You want it. This is comics. You want to read that last page and say, "I want the next issue. I'm excited to read the next issue," and I think that did a pretty good job here. So,
yeah, cool. All right. So are we moving on to Batman and Robin? Is that what we're doing, Bill?
Yes, Batman, and let's go ahead and we're going to go to Batman and Robin number 14.
Rightio. So you have the cover for this?
Absolutely. We're live, so
Yeah. There it
there
is.
we go.
Okay, so let's get into this. So this is Batman and Robin 14. This story arc is called Memento. So this is Memento Part 1.
Mhm.
Writer Philip Kennedy Johnson, artist Javi Fernandez, colorist Marcelo Mayolo, covered by Javi Fernandez and Dave McCaig. So yeah, what do you think of this cover, Bill?
This cover was a pretty cool cover. You got Batman and Robin jumping, holding a bat rope, and you got bats around them. It's pretty cool. They're in different shades. Robin has an R behind him, shaded in like a red, and Batman has a bat symbol, shaded in kind of a blue gray sort of thing. So I thought it was okay cover.
Yeah, you said, and I didn't even notice it until now, that you said these all-in launching point covers tend to have a lot of white in them, huh?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So our issue opens up in 1892 Gotham. A man is being prepared for burial or preservation with an unseen person or persons pouring plaster on a corpse, uttering the words, "Memento mori, teacher. We will see your face again, though it will be another who wears it." We flip back to modern Gotham. 3 armored cars are driving on a bridge, shooting wildly into the air. One yells, "I don't see him," presumably referring to the Batman. One passenger gets ejected out of the car and off the bridge. One driver, not knowing Batman and Robin somehow entered his backseat, exclaims, "Please don't kill me. I'm just the decoy. The 2 lead cars are the bombs, not this one." From the backseat, Batman suddenly says, "We believe you." That car crashes. After some car hopping action by Batman and Robin, one of the cars careens off the bridge. Batman gets the bad guys out thanks to some trick rope action, and the car explodes in midair. We turn to a scene with a bandaged Bruce Wayne chatting with Oracle about an upcoming charity event for a local hospital. Bruce is asking her if there are any security concerns. She says there is an online chatter coming from Kondak haters where a Dr. Bashar, who runs the hospital, is from. We get a scene where Bruce is chatting with Damian about the charity event, and we see Damian doodling comic book panels, his new hobby. They get all tuxedoed up and they head to the event. A protest is outside. The protesters sort of seem to have a beef with both Wayne and Bashar, babbling about how they don't run Gotham, then shouts, "Memento mori, all men die." And then we turn to the charity event. Wayne introduces Bashar at the event. All these laudful words about Bashar's good works. Damian is at the kids' table, which is, you got to kind of read that. It's really cute in a lot of ways. Through Bruce's earpiece, Oracle tells him there are shots fired on the lower level of the hospital, and Bruce goes to investigate. He deliberately goes as Bruce. He doesn't change into Batman. We hear a command given to terrorists that the hospital is about to be blacked out. After Damian insults a little girl at the kids' table, he notices that someone is locking all the doors, trapping Gotham's finest inside. Bruce engages the terrorists on the lower level and renders them unconscious. He smells something and enters the old boiler room that was sealed off decades ago after an accident killed many. It's an inferno in there, and then the gentleman dressed in 19th century garb appears reciting a poem. I'd recite the poem, but it ends in "Memento mori," and the issue ends. So, Bill, what'd you think?
Well, it's a jumping on point with this new creative team.
Right.
I would say it's kind of interesting. I had to read it a couple times because the first time I read it, I was like, what the heck is going on here?
Mm-hmm.
I understand the Batman, the Bruce and Damian Wayne parts. It's the parts where at the beginning, where we shoot back to Gotham City, 1892, and there's a dead man that they're covering up and putting some kind of paste or powder on him and saying memento mori, teacher, which for those of you that don't know, it says remember you must die in Latin,
Right.
which at the time I didn't know what that meant. So and then we get into some action sequence after that. But what did you think of this action sequence?
Before I get to that, I
Mhm.
just want to call out that I'm wondering if Philip Kennedy Johnson's like a Depeche Mode fan because Memento Mori is their last album. Just saying that
Okay,
for those out there.
it could
But
be.
that nevertheless, the action is, I mean, I have mixed feelings about it because, I mean, one thing is I read it like you did a couple times, especially
Mhm.
this action scene, and right out of the gate, it seems like somebody falls to their death, but there does seem to be like a little cable attached to him. But I don't know. But there's so much. There's 3 cars. One goes off the bridge, then another one I think also goes off the bridge, and they're hopping around the cars with their grappling hooks, and they're jumping in and out of the cars, and it's just sort of like it seemed almost like even for comic books, like it just seemed like a little crazy, like some of the things that were happening at high speed with them jumping around on a bridge. I guess I could suspend my disbelief, but I don't know. What did you think of that as
Well,
well?
I thought it was like an action sequence where it was edited harshly because I couldn't tell at certain times what exactly was going on. I know they're jumping around like you said, but there was this one scene that bothered me a little bit. It's where Robin crashes through this SUV midair and he's attached to a rope. He goes through the back window, takes the guy through the front, and then they kind of let the guy go. But the car is still attached, and the car blows up. And then it looks like that they saved the guy. But the car was attached to this rope. So I was a little confused by that. Not saying that this was bad, but I just was trying to see what was going on here.
And there's also this element, and I just happened to read a little bit of Poison Ivy recently. There's this dialogue box which has this asterisk. The guy says, "You're too late. We're taking down this bridge for the green." And then it's like they're like I guess these are also eco-terrorists, which is like the big theme of the Poison Ivy books.
Right.
And so but then it just, then it ends. So I are they going to go back to this notion of the eco-terrorists, maybe, to be determined later? I liked the next scenes with the charity fundraiser more than, and they seem seemingly unconnected right now. I mean, they're out doing their normal patrol type work, or they were on a case regarding these eco-terrorists, and now we're onto this other scene. The book really kind of made more sense to me, and it was clear to understand what was going on with the charity stuff and the gala, and I always I'm always a sucker for Oracle. Talking to Bruce about, I love that stuff. I'm a big Bat Family nerd on that piece. And so anyway, I liked all that. But I did also, going back to the previous writer, I liked how they picked up this new hobby of Damien's, where he's drawing comic book panels. I like that.
Well, that goes back to the Robin series.
Does it?
Yeah, that happened. I don't know, a year or two ago. You saw that a lot. That he would write these little comic panel type of things.
Okay. I didn't read that. I like that. I like it. Damien needs an outlet, a creative outlet, other than being Robin. I think it's cool, and they have a good this sort of does a really good job of sort of showing their maturing relationship. It's less adversarial, as comics have gone on, the father-son piece of their relationship. But Damien's still a child, because he doesn't want to go to this fundraiser. He doesn't want to like wear a tuxedo and stuff. And then that's carried through to the event. But there's this one little piece where Damien walks by this chessboard, and apparently it's an ongoing game between Bruce and Damien's grandfather, Ra's al Ghul. Had you ever seen a reference to an ongoing chess game?
I don't recall that, but I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
they would be mid-fight or at the end of the fight, and apparently he would say, "Yeah, move my chess piece here." I don't think he's been in the library too much, because it says your tuxedo or the study. Your tuxedo is in the study, and he goes to grab it, and he sees this chessboard, which has apparently been around for a little while. But I really like that he's trying to show Damien, okay, you've seen the parts of him be Batman. This is what it's like to be Batman. But the part of the Bruce Wayne is just as important to Batman, and I like seeing that. And some of the panels of the artwork, with Damien in this suit, and he looks not happy at all, and he keeps having encounters with this little girl. Yeah,
I thought that was really cute, actually.
Yeah.
I sort of this back and forth between Bruce's on stage, being the MC, introducing the great Dr. Bashar or whatever, and then Damien is just like having a miserable night because he's with kids his own age, but because he's so smart and he's experienced so much, he cannot relate to other children at all. Yeah. And that little girl just wants to be his pal, and he's super he's rude. Rude, a little on the cruel side. He makes her cry at one point, but there's really neat facial expressions for Damien throughout this book. He looks bored. He looks, irritated, perturbed, and it's not until until he realizes they're being locked in where you start sort of seeing the engaged Damien. It's almost like he needs some action, like whatever, any kind of action.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So what'd you make of all these? This I guess it's a group. Are these the eco terrorists, or are these some other cats related to
that's
these
where I was
Memento Mori
confused.
guys?
We get the introduction to this Malik Bashar, who apparently is, friends of the Waynes, old school, that's going to take over this hospital.
Right.
And we get these, these terrorists of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
But Bruce doesn't have his costume, so he's going, in his tux basically, and has control of the lights, so he puts everybody in the dark. But I'm not sure what these guys are, because he goes down into the basement or the boiler room, and we jump back, to the part at the beginning where I'm just not sure what exactly is happening, who this guy is.
Right.
But he does say something. Bruce does say something interesting, because he goes down the boiler room. It's on fire.
Right.
He says, this has been dead. Boiler's been dead for a century.
Right.
And there's not even any wiring down here or anything. And he says, then he hears a familiar voice speaking a name I haven't used in a lifetime. And he's saying, young Jack, how long I search for thee, and has this little riddle or poem or something. And it almost leads you to believe that the guy, because it looks, if you go back to the very beginning, and the face that they're burying looks familiar, very familiar to the guy standing there, because he's shaded in a white or something. I don't know. Yeah. It seems to me that this is going to be more of a supernatural story. So I'm interested to see where it goes. I had no idea. I didn't get the same feeling about this book that I did the Batman book previously, because we get an explosion, like the floor explodes, but I don't know where this is going or what's headed or what's going on in this hospital. There are lots of questions.
I know exactly what's happening.
Okay,
Just kidding.
explain it to us.
I know. I don't know either. Yeah, and yeah, we'll see where it goes. It's a little confusing right now. I don't know where the bridge terrorists relate to this. Maybe they don't.
Mhm.
But when you have to read a book a couple times to kind of make sense of it, I'm not sure that's always a good thing. I mean, of course, if I was casually reading a book and I wanted to reread it because it was so great, that's one thing. But I was like, what is happening here? But I'm cautiously optimistic this has got a direction to it.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a plan. We
Yeah.
get a first issue here. If you're jumping off an issue after a first issue, well, shame on you, because you should at least my thought on this, should at least give a book like 3 issues just to see
Sure.
where, because it's only one piece to the part. So
Yeah.
I will be interested to see where this is going for sure.
Yeah. So we didn't really tell everybody this, but we did. For those of you who listen to the podcast, this, but if you're new, this is a Batman podcast of current Batman comics, but we also cover other books that tie into Batman. And so tonight we're going to be doing just that, because I think All In Special #1 really has to be covered before you do Absolute Batman, which is the last book we're doing, because it kind of tees up the book, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I don't know if you've got the cover right here. So
I got the cover where it's the double fold cover, so it has each side of.
So if you're reading it digitally, the left side's upside down, but do you have a physical copy that you could show everybody?
I do, but it's upstairs.
Fair enough. But the physical copy is it's like a mirror image, right? So when you read the left side, which is the hero side, with Booster Gold that we're looking at right now with Zatanna and stuff, you read that halfway through the book, and then you flip it over and read it the other way.
Around. Yep.
Right. So, but when you read it digitally, they can't do that because, I'd have to turn my monitor upside down or something. Right. So anyway, so anyways, what do you think of let's just focus on the right-hand cover, I guess. What do you think of this?
Oh, I loved it. We get Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Green Lantern, Zatanna, Booster Gold, Martian Manhunter. I really like this cover.
And don't forget Skeets, which is actually important.
Yes.
No, I like it too. And then you got this Darkseid showing the shooting Omega beams out of his eyes in the background. Very cool. I mean, everybody can see it on the screen. But yeah, so this book is the DC All In Special #1, and it's written by Joshua Williamson and Scott Snyder, with artists Daniel Sampiri and Dan Mora, colors by Alejandro Sanchez and Tamara Bonvillain. That's a cool last name, Bonvillain. And so we join our heroes 52 days after the events of Absolute Power. At that epic's conclusion, we learn that there are new plans to build a new Justice League watchtower, and they are getting the band back together and then some. Using Earth and alien tech, blessed with magic, the heroes have built a new watchtower. I guess they did that in 52 days, Bill. We'll cover that in a minute. The membership cards, sort of in the form of this, sort of American Express, kind of black card kind of thing, are sent out to practically every hero we can think of. Even Booster Gold gets one, and there's this cool scene with Superman personally giving him his membership card, because and the others were kind of either getting them they weren't like delivered by somebody of prominence like Superman. They were just kind of like showing them get them. But I think there's importance to Superman personally delivering it. And anyway, Superman tells him everyone is gathering that night for a kickoff meeting of the Justice League Unlimited. Woohoo! There is a cool splash page with many of the DC's most famous heroes, including Power Girl over here. But this one, the statue doesn't have this stupid red jacket that is in current continuity. Anyway, I digress. Of course, they are immediately attacked in the middle of Mr. Terrific's welcome speech. Omega Beam starts shooting out of some of their eyes. Darkseid shows up and mayhem ensues. The brand new Watchtower gets trashed. Darkseid has bonded with the Spectre, we learn. Wonder Woman lassos Darkseid. Then Superman says his bond with the Spectre is over. Then Darkseid shoots Omega Beams at Superman. They bounce back at Darkseid, and it hits him in the chest, and he says, "Thank you, Darkseid ends." Then he disappears. And after some recovery, Mr. Terrific deduces a new world has been detected, the Alpha World. I guess that's sort of this new multiversal world called the Alpha World. They banter about about going there through a rift that was left by Darkseid's arrival, but only a time traveler can go through it. Booster Gold volunteers. He goes through and ends up on a world not unlike ours, but with sort of this apocalypse feel. But Booster immediately loses his connection back to the heroes. He also seems to have lost Skeets. Off panel, someone shoots some Omega Beams at Booster, probably Darkseid. Then we hear that someone say, "Finally, I have my army." We end with a splash page of what seems like a dark legion of superheroes sort of combined with the New Gods. Whew. So that's one issue. That's the front side of this thing. This is sort of the hero perspective of this story. Bill, what'd you think of this story?
Oh, I enjoyed this.
Yeah.
I really loved this new idea that they have for the Justice League. It's right off of the cartoon Justice League Unlimited. I really like that premise, and we could get almost anybody. And, we were like 40 some minutes in and no Power Girl. And then it happened. He has this statue in the background. He had to mention it. I was just wondering how long it would take. If I was making a bet, I would have lost some money there.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, it's really cool. I mean, it's fun, and this. Like I said, you can't really tell how the other cards are delivered. They're probably delivered by a member, but it's interesting that they only focus on the dialogue between the Superman delivering to Booster Gold. And for those of you that go back to the 80s, there's a long history with Booster's arrival in Metropolis and Superman being skeptical of his motives and his actions. And so I thought that was really touching and cool, because it's in this sort of dawn of DC, all in, whatever you want to call this current continuity we're in, it's kind of works for both new readers and for us guys who are really been reading for 40, 50 years.
Right.
Because you don't have to know all that history, but it serves that for us that, oh, cool, they're touching on this. But at the same time, if you're reading this for the first time, it kind of is like, oh, you don't have to know a ton either, right? So it's pretty cool. And some of our favorite characters, like they're Fire and Ice and stuff, Metamorpho. It's pretty fun. But Bill, I mean, these guys work fast. This is literally 52 days after Green Arrow met with them at Happy Harbor, and they were talking about plans for a new Watchtower. But I guess if you're Superman, Wonder Woman, and the Green Lanterns, you could probably pull it off, right?
Well, you have speedsters, you have Green Lanterns, you have Martians, all
Yeah.
kinds of things to build that thing. I don't know if that's possible, but it's in the DC universe. Apparently, it is. But I like the focus character in this, story is Booster Gold, and I really liked, Superman delivering this to him personally, and what he says. You had some missteps across the way, but you earn this. You deserve this, and I love seeing that. That is one of my favorite scenes.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. But now the funny thing is, and it kind of happened a little bit in Absolute Power, which is, why? Because in Absolute Power, Nightwing's giving this big speech about how they're going to do a counterattack and all this stuff against Waller's forces, and in the middle of his speech, they get attacked by like Superboy and or Super John Kent and Brainiac Queen. Same thing kind of happens here. Like, hey everybody, welcome. And then within minutes, Mr. Terrific can't even finish his speech, and they're attacked by Darkseid. I call him Darkseid and Darkseid sometimes. I don't know if you noticed that. I still get. I don't know about you. Do you always call him Darkseid?
I have. I don't know if that's the proper way to pronounce it or not, but that's how I have always.
But it's cool anyway. We've got all kinds of heroes here. I think we're going to see a lot of these heroes in upcoming books. You got the JSA, you got Alan Scott sort of with Obsidian and Jade in the background. I mean, I think I picked up the new.
Yeah.
Are they in it? Are they?
Yes.
Yeah. Very cool. And then the one thing that's kind of cool is, I think it has to do with I just noticed it, the upside down piece of this sort of, we'll be flipping the book in a second, is like there's a couple of scenes where people say like Darkseid is, all this stuff, and those words are upside down in this book. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
Like, you kind of had to read upside down. At first I was thinking the sort of a Zatanna thing. I go, no, this is just upside down. Not backwards, but upside down. So
right.
Pretty
it's a
cool.
Different kind of magic almost.
Yeah, but I think it's this alpha world. They're playing with the upside down, thing that they're doing, which it would make more sense if you had the floppy. I think a little bit on this one, but anyway, very fun. And I don't know if you have any more comments, because this is the hero's
the comment I
perspective.
have to make is more about what happens to Darkseid, but and his look, I think his look looks incredible, but at this point you're like, oh, he's missing an arm, and he's bonded with the Spectre. You don't really know what's going on, but then you find out a little of the backstory on the second part. But I did find one thing pretty interesting in Orion, or is that how you say Orion? Yeah. He mentions, and we're getting a new Gods book. He mentions that his father is not on Apocalypse. He's spoken to his contacts, and there's no sign of him, meaning Darkseid,
right,
at all. This is after he disappeared, and there's this rip in reality. He says Darkseid is a constant. All of creation needs a Darkseid. If he is truly gone, the universe will create a new one. So I found that kind of interesting.
That's a little bit of foreshadowing, I think you've picked up on. Yeah, I'm not trying to cut this short. I mean, the rest of this is cool. The scene where Booster kind of steps forward, and when somebody says, maybe it's Terrific, it's off panel, or maybe it's Booster, only time travelers can go there. Now, we don't know why only time travelers can go there, but let's just go with it. But the way he walks forward with confidence is a cool panel.
Oh, yeah.
It's really cool.
And Skeets adds, he doesn't say too much throughout the book. It's only like 5 or 6 sentences, but it's like dramatic entrance, sir. One of your best.
Total classic Dan Jurgens Skeets.
Right.
Sort of, he's kind of being, I don't know, critical or mocking Booster a bit. It's pretty cool. And then he goes through, and then I guess they lose his Skeets, or Skeets doesn't make it through. And
it always looked that way, and Skeets is supposed to help him get back.
Right.
Because he's a time traveler, and they needed somebody to, be a time traveler because of, I don't understand it. It's some kind of tecton particles or something, and only time travelers have that. So he volunteers. He goes through, and he sees this world. And we're going to be introduced to the absolute world and what that's all about. And
Yeah. So I don't know if you can go back. I mean, it's kind of tough with that thing being an upside down. We're going to cover the flip side now, but this cover's got the new absolute Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman on the cover. But we'll get right into it. So this comic instead of written by Joshua Williamson and Scott Snyder, this one's written by Scott Snyder and Joshua Williamson, which I thought was pretty cool. Artist Wes Craig and colors Mike Spicer. So this kind of goes, anyway, we'll do our best here. This kind of runs parallel a little bit to the other one, but sort of from a different perspective. And so instead of saying 52 days later, the front page says 52 days earlier. And so we quickly deduce that this is sort of from Darkseid's perspective, and he's narrating it in the first person, in fact. So Darkseid is talking about a machine created by Hemon, the creator of the Mother Box, but it must be activated by blood. We find out this thing's called the Miracle Machine, and it needs to be activated by his blood. So he as you said, we find out why he's got a stump of an arm in the previous issue. He cuts his own arm off and lets his blood pour into this enormous machine, but it needs more blood to function, apparently. And so you see Darkseid sort of has isolated himself from the other characters we typically see on Apocalypse, but then Kalibak, his son, enters with Granny Goodness, and he announces that he's been, leading in Darkseid's absence and has created a great army of paradevils. Kalibak urges Darkseid to unleash this army against the heroes of Earth who are in a bad state because of the events of absolute power. That's what he's referring to. Darkseid surprises them by simply saying no. Kalibak protests greatly. Then Darkseid has a solution of how Kalibak can be of assistance, and Darkseid impales him, sort of with the stump of his arm, I guess. That's what it looks like. And then Darkseid tosses the bloodied Kalibak onto the machine, and the process is complete. It is operational. Then Darkseid ventures into hell looking for someone, but he doesn't find the being he's looking for. Then he goes to the dark side of the moon where Eclipso is hanging out, who is holding someone prisoner. Eclipso won't let Darkseid access his prisoner, and then they start going at it. And then Darkseid takes him out with a boom tube blast. We find out that the prisoner is Jim Corrigan, the Spectre. The machine we mentioned earlier is this miracle machine. Darkseid makes a wish, and he wants to bond with the Spectre, and he does. And then our stories kind of converge. This is where sort of Darkseid now shows up on the newly constructed watchtower. So it's just a different artist, different angles, different vibe. And Darkseid basically allows, I think he allows himself to be defeated, because that's why he's there. But he needs to sort of fulfill that in order to create this new world that we're calling Alpha World. And that's where we learn of divergent origin stories for Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman that will be covered in these absolute books, one of which we'll be covering in a moment here. And then it kind of ends with the same ending, with Booster Gold witnessing the introduction of Darkseid's sort of new army, which I kind of felt like was a new Godsy looking Legion of Superheroes type of character. I didn't really recognize them, but that's how the vibe I got from them. I don't know, but anyways, really interesting. I mean, sometimes these special books that start like a new continuity and sort of a new jumping off point are kind of like throwaways, but that's why we covered it, because I think it's like you kind of got to read this to know why we're reading Absolute Batman, and it also at the same time introduces this Justice League Unlimited thing, so it kills two birds with one stone. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I mean, I don't know where they're going with the dark side, but they're introducing this new world where he's in control. It appeared to me that he died on purpose. You know, he says dark side ends so he can be recreated and have this world where he's in control of everything, where the heroes are born, but they don't have the advantages they have in the regular DC universe. And I guess he thinks he can control that. And the one panel that I wanted to bring up, he basically says that when I am him means when he returns to full power, when I am him, I will return for that other world and crush it. So it's all part of his plan, but it sort of seemed like, you know, Darkseid was caught off from the multiverse. He was a little bored.
Yeah.
He was a little bored. He didn't know what to get into. There was nothing on TV. The movies, you know, nobody goes to the movie theater anymore and that sort of thing. So he thought, I might as well bond myself with the Spectre and die. So I think Booster is stuck on this world.
Yeah. Which could be kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like later though, but you know what I didn't mention, and I hazard to say it because it's not exactly like Kirby art, but it's like Kirby close. And I think
it really is they tried to make it look like Kirby.
Well, I think they could have really made it look like Kirby if they wanted to. So that's why I call it kind of Kirby close, sort of an homage to Kirby, but not full bore, just do a Kirby. You know what I'm saying?
No, I understand.
I thought it was pretty cool though.
Yeah, I did enjoy it a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't really think I have any other observations. When I read it real time, I was like, oh, there's another book, because I didn't have the floppy. So if I had the floppy, I would have just automatically gone, oh, this is a two-sider deal.
Because you thought it ended, you know.
I thought it ended. In fact, I actually almost stopped. When but then I look back at the cover, I go, wait a minute, there's got to be another part, because I don't see any of these absolute Batman characters in this. And then I go, so that, I guess that's one downside to digital, is this clever thing they've done with this flip over thing. So, okay, whatever. It's cool.
Yeah. So we will get ready and jump into our absolute book, our absolute Batman book, which was announced a few months ago. And I don't know about you, but things have been coming out about it, and I was like a little skeptical. I wasn't so sure. They showed that first picture, and they showed him, you know, pulling that symbol off his chest and making an axe, and I'm like, is that really Batman? So we will jump into this absolute Batman #1. It's the Zoo Part 1 of 5. Let me pull up this cover here. It is a cool looking cover, I do have to say. What did you think of this cover?
He looks jacked up. Like he is like on Roy. Like he looks like Bane kind of, but the cover's cool, but he's massive, but he's also massive in the book too. But yeah, it's fine. It's cool. It gets your attention.
Right. Yeah. So your writer is Scott Snyder, artist Nick Dragotta, colorist Frank Martin, letterer Clayton Cowles. You get the cover is by Dragotta and Martin, associate editor Sabrina Futch, and editor Katie Kubert. As our issue starts off, we are introduced to Alfred Pennyworth, who is sent to Gotham after a long absence. He is hired to survey and gather information on a new terrorist group known as the Party Animals. whose horrific crimes are responsible for a 700% increase in the murder rate. Ordered to observe only and not to engage under any circumstances. Alfred leaves his hideout and sees that his motorcycle has been stolen. We are then introduced to blue-collar civil engineer Bruce Wayne as he trains on a punching bag at Croc's gym. We find out many of Gotham's rogues are Bruce's childhood friends. The leaders of Gotham City's crime families meet Roman Sionis, the leader of the party animals, on his yacht. They tell Sionis to leave town by dawn or they will kill him and his gang. Their request is denied. That evening at a town meeting, Mayor Gordon and the police are under fire for the failure to stop the party animals, demanding that Gordon step down. Alfred watches City Hall from a vantage point and sees the party animals approaching. He asks his superiors for permission to engage, but they tell him his mission is to observe only. Suddenly, the gang burst in, throwing a smoke grenade. People dive for cover, and they gun Gordon down or are about to slaughter the rest of the people when they are suddenly pulled out of the room and a door slams behind them. The Batman has arrived and takes out most of the party animals in non-lethal ways, including the bat on his chest plate to create an axe. Alfred's superiors directly order him to take Batman out. He sneaks up behind Batman, lowers his custom automatic shotgun in his head, and orders him to stand down. However, Batman easily knocks him down, disarms him, and escapes with the gun. In a flashback, we learn that Bruce's father and teacher, Thomas Wayne, chaperoned a trip and sacrificed himself to save his students when the zoo was attacked by a mass shooter. After spending his teen years as a delinquent, Bruce buckled down, got good grades, and went to the best university in the state on an athletic scholarship. However, he faked an injury to get out of playing and studied all the subjects he would need to be a crime fighter. When he returned to Gotham, he worked as a utilities engineer to learn every inch of the city, interned at City Hall to learn about municipal politics, and finally started working construction. The next day, Alfred tails Bruce through the city, first to the now abandoned zoo and then to his mother's house. He could kill Bruce on the porch in front of Martha, but he does not. That night, he tracks Bruce to his hideout on the top floor of a skyscraper. He tells Bruce he's shutting him down, and Bruce points a shotgun at him. Alfred confidently predicts Bruce isn't going to shoot him, but to his shock, Bruce shoots him point blank in the face, as Bruce has modified the gun to be non-lethal and fired a dozen small batarangs into Alfred's face. Bruce drops the gun and revs up his motorcycle, and Batman tells him, "You're not the only one who follows people." In Manila, a private helicopter picks up Alfred's previous target, a mysterious billionaire who spent his life training with the most dangerous people in the world. The man's true name is unknown, and he is most commonly known as the Joker. So,
Yeah.
absolute Batman #1. A lot of changes, a lot of things that are different here. Is going to be, as we saw in the previous, all-in issue, is going to be a world where these heroes don't have the advantages that they have in the current DC universe. This Batman has no money. They were on the poor side compared to the Waynes. His parents aren't even. His father dies. His mother is still alive. Alfred Pennyworth is just so many different things in here. What is your initial thoughts about this?
Well, we're coming up on 90 years of Batman, right? And so, I am always open-minded to an Elseworlds kind of story that doesn't mess, obviously, with the sort of a canon of Batman and stuff. But, I thought it was cool. I think he is giving a lot of respect to the canon of Batman with maybe the no killing piece, but at the same time, taking it a little, getting a little bold with doesn't mind if you chop someone's arm off piece, that actually happened in this. I liked the different origin story that parents are I think I think his dad's a teacher, not a rich doctor, and it's really cool. I mean, that he's got the friends that were at the zoo on the field trip. They're becoming their characters, and like, Killer Croc, even like he's, he's a childhood friend basically.
Yeah, Killer Croc. It's the Penguin. It's
Yeah,
the Riddler. It's Selena.
right. Selena's there. Is Harvey there too?
I'm pretty sure that's who it is.
Okay, so yeah, that's super cool. He's like, hey, Bruce, I'm talking to you. Like, it's very cool. And the art is, I think it's the same artist, but he draws those flashback scenes a little differently. And they're colored differently. Very, very cool sort of feel that you don't need to be told flashback. You can just feel it's a flashback. And then you got this Pennyworth who's clearly got a covert ops background.
Yes.
And instead of any relation to the Wayne family. But it's almost like you feel like, because he's ordered on his when he first experiences Batman, he's kind of told to take him out, but there's something that's preventing him from following orders, which I thought was really cool. Well, like maybe there's some subliminal multiversal kind of vibe where he's feeling he doesn't take him out.
It sure is interesting, because when we're first introduced, I mean, Alfred is familiar with Gotham. He used to live here in Gotham, because he even goes to pick up tea at the same place he always picks up, and it's a friend of his, and he's been to his house and different things. So apparently he's lived in Gotham before, and he's here to observe these party animals.
Right.
And they say, observe only. And these are, it's supposed to be the Black Mask, but it's in these weird masks or whatever. But these are ultra violent, almost like super realistic terrorists, the kind that they said set a school on fire or something like that, or it was a daycare and that sort of thing. But he's only supposed to watch, and then he's ordered to take out Batman, and I really like that scene. There's a lot of stuff in here I like, but I really liked the scene where Batman arrives for the first time.
Yeah.
And he's covered in his cape. He's hanging upside down, and his cape is covering his whole body. And he's getting shot everywhere, and it's going ping, ping, ting, ting. And then he drops a little smoke bomb, and he just jumps. And then we get a full page panel of the suit. And the suit really does have, the cape has these little, I don't know what to describe them, because it's almost like whips on the ends that he uses to take out these guys. So the cape has some different uses.
Yeah.
For sure.
Kind of like that. It's got these weird angles, sort of like there was McFarlane. Was it McFarlane who drew him that way at one point? Was sort of pointing more. But anyway, I loved it. So we don't think Gordon gets killed, but you clearly see that the lectern he's speaking in front of gets completely obliterated, and then you got a female uniformed cop who calls him dad, but she's African American and he's a white dude. So it's like, okay, I want to see where that goes, right? That's pretty cool. And so playing with existing characters we've known forever is always fun, and he's doing a great job. I mean, Scott Snyder, who you met recently, huh?
Yes, I actually went to a signing.
Yeah,
with him and Nick, the artist, and that was pretty cool. Got a picture taken.
And you nicely mailed me one of the variant covers here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this is for those of you who.
And there's my picture, if you can see it. There.
Oh, very cool.
There we are.
Very cool.
There we are.
Yeah, and so I mean, Snyder obviously is a big Batman guy, and he it's like you almost have to trust that somebody respects Batman like Snyder does to give him sort of the liberty to play with the origin story, who the characters are and stuff, because he's going to treat him with respect and not going to be like, I don't know, crazy about it. And like, but it's all within it's really cool. I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes.
The one thing that I was really worried about when I heard about this book, and we get a scene there where he creates an axe with his chest,
right?
But just like slices a guy's arm off.
Right.
I wanted a code. This wouldn't be Batman without the code, and I was like, "Please give me the code. Please give me the code."
Right.
And he has the code.
He does have.
He has the code. I mean, he's pretty violent with these guys. I mean, he uses even his ears. He has little knives or little batarangs that he throws and takes out some guys, and you can tell that they're stuck right in their chest, and he takes them out and puts them back in his head. The axe thing was pretty cool. He cuts off the guy's arm, but he keeps him. He doesn't kill them, but he really injures him. The one panel that I wanted to ask you about is when he has the rest of these, party animals here, and he says, "Out of my way," and he bends over, and all these spikes come out of his.
Oh yeah.
What's going on there? It's almost his cape is like alien or something. I don't know exactly what's going on there.
I stopped and stared at that for a little while, to be honest, and I wasn't sure what was happening because it doesn't look. If there's any criticism I have of this, there's other panels where like those things would be visible, at least poking through his cape or something. What does he? So I don't get that, frankly. But
no, I'm not sure. We'll have to see how that's
past that. But you know what? I want to touch on the importance of the zoo, because it's kind of like in this continuity, it's the crime alley.
Yeah, it feels that way.
It's the crime alley of this book because Bruce in today, on his way to see his mom, he goes by there and he drops a daisy or whatever, which is very similar to sort of scenes where Batman drops a rose on the location where he dies. And then, there's this whole thing about when Thomas Wayne is, dealing with, I guess we don't know why. I guess there's a terrorist or there's a psychopath who's got a gun, and he puts all the kids in this sort of bat aquarium type place, or this part of the zoo that where bats, and so that's kind of, I guess that's his sort of cave where there's parallels, right, with the story we're very familiar with. But I like to see Bruce's mom. I mean, she's still, Bruce is clearly depicted as probably early mid-20s at most, maybe, right?
Yeah, I would say.
His mom's probably pushing 50, 48, 50, something like that. It'll be interesting to see how Snyder uses her as a weakness of Batman, because Batman, in other stories with heroes like the Flash family, you got Iris, you got Joan, Garrick, and stuff like that. They have families that are weaknesses, right? Or Superman with Lois. Batman really doesn't have that. But now he's in this continuity, this story, he's got that, which will be really interesting, because I think that in normal continuities, it allows Batman to take more liberties with danger and stuff, because he doesn't have to worry about like a wife or a mother, or what I'm saying, that if his identity is exposed, she'll be exposed. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out with her.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting, because that's an aspect that we've never really had. So, and as we're talking about that, this interaction with Alfred.
Yeah.
Because Alfred attacks him and says basically he can blow his head off. Batman knocks him down, takes his gun, and he goes about his day. And as you said, he goes to the zoo, he goes to visit his mother, but Alfred follows him is following him all the day, has done this research about him, knows everything about him because you get some flashbacks about what he's been doing. He went to the college, but on a football scholarship, but he faked an injury so he could learn some other things. And he gets out the gun. He cocks the gun and he's right there talking to his mother. So he could have took him out right here now.
Yep.
But he doesn't. He doesn't. He sees, it's almost like that moment, the Martha moment in the Batman versus Superman. I mean, he sees him with his mother and he's like, he's just a kid.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, he gets contacted from his daughter, Julia, who says, never contact me again because he said he was in Gotham and they apparently don't have a good relationship.
Yeah. There's so much going on with these characters in one issue that we hadn't even touched it all.
Right.
Alfred has got a daughter and he's estranged from her and she wants nothing to do with him. And that's right. That text from her comes in while he's observing them, Bruce and Martha, on their porch, I guess. Maybe that stops him. But then he tracks him down and at the top of these skyscrapers that are under construction. So he could have killed him earlier. Maybe he wanted to kill him or whatever. But I don't think he did. I don't think he's going to kill him at all because there's something going on here, and maybe I'm jumping to conclusion that there's something multiversal in Alfred's head, but maybe there's some past that goes back to Thomas Wayne that we don't know about yet. But I'm looking forward to finding out. It's going to be. This seems like it's going to be fun. Now, you were concerned about whether they were going to break the code. I'm wondering how long this continuity lasts. Do you have any sense? Is this a 12-issue thing? Do we not?
No. It was Scott Snyder was asked on social media specifically.
Okay.
And he said this first story arc is 5 issues, but this is an ongoing story, and they have at least a couple years of story. And if it is popular, he says it'll be longer than that.
Okay.
So he's in for the long haul for sure. I just wanted to touch before we get out of here. I wanted to touch on this final scene where, Alfred finds that Bruce is in this vacant, tower on this construction levels of this tower. And he confronts Bruce. Bruce has his shotgun. And he's like, give me the gun, kid. You're no killer. And he shoots him in the face. And as we see, and this is where you got that he has a code. He reconstructed this shotgun to shoot these little mini batarangs into Alfred's face. And he's the one that stole his motorcycle, and he leaves the top of this, tower on this motorcycle, and he's like 1,000 feet up. Where's he going? And I guess he's gliding with, I don't know, the cape thing. I don't understand the cape thing as of yet, but it looks like he's gliding with the cape, if I had to make a guess. And as the issue ends, and there's a cover coming up. There's a cover. I actually got it. It's a second printing cover, and it has him on this bat cycle, or a bat pod, if you want to call it that.
Oh, okay. Alfred's bat pod. Yeah. And then they have this epilogue where we're going to get, we've got a Joker already, which is cool. And there's a funny line in here. You're the Batman guru. I'm going to put you on the spot. If you look at real quick, Bill, at the panel on this yacht, is this a yacht? I guess it's a yacht of some, or it's a building. Anyway, this helipad. And they say, no one knows his name. He's like Jack Arthur. Hell, I don't even know his real name. I think one of those names is from the Three Jokers or something, like this Jack or the Arthur. Do those ring a bell to you, Jack or Arthur?
It might. I'm not 100% sure.
I think so. I think there's been a continuity with it where his name was exposed as Arthur. Maybe it was
Arthur is from the Joker movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe the Killing Joke. Or well, Jack is from Batman 89. So maybe that's where I'm
Yeah,
getting this
maybe
from.
that's where we're getting.
Okay, that's probably where it is. But
Yeah.
it's a neat. Snyder knows he's doing little Easter eggs, homages to Batman. I love it. It's cool stuff. Anyway, and then there's that little eerie picture of him.
Yeah, it's
not,
it's the guy that never laughs, not anything ever.
And that's the irony, right? That's why they
Yeah.
call him the Joker. He never laughs.
Right.
So this will be fun.
Yeah. I just wanted to throw up. We got a comment here about this book. We actually got 2 comments. I'll throw up here. Sean Ross said, "Absolute Batman #1 was so good. I was leery about jumping on with Absolute DC Universe, but every issue has been great so far." And I agree. I have read Superman and I've read Wonder Woman, and I'm excited about that. And then, of course, we get a comment from Marty Dexter, great show, who's been following our show. So we appreciate the comments.
Cool. Thanks for watching.
So yeah, we're gonna tackle these books. We got coming up. We're going to continue on. If you haven't listened to us before, because this is our first time on YouTube, we're doing Robin Lives. We got a issue number 4 of Robin Lives coming up. We tackled the first issue of Batman and Robin Year 1. We got a new creative team on Detective, Tom Taylor. We got a Nightwing issue. We haven't decided if we were going to do Catwoman or anything else, but we'll see that. And then we're going to start here sometime. We're going to do a DC. This is the Gotham Currents episode. We're going to have a DC Currents episode where we just cover DC. And it's just going to be an episode a month where we can talk, sort of like your therapy, that we're going to talk about DC Comics, probably the team books mostly, or if any events come along, that sort of thing. So it should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, we are going down the rabbit hole, but I love it. Covering Absolute Power, I think that was 39 issues, some good, some bad. Overall, pretty good as a story, but it kind of charged us up to go a little wider in the DCU, and so we're not gonna cover everything, but
no, it's just
we're gonna cover team, like maybe some Titans. They're definitely Justice League Unlimited, definitely JSA. Those are the 3 big teams that I like reading about.
Yeah, absolutely. So this should be a lot of fun. It's just 2 guys from the comic shop, even though we're on different coasts, talking about these storylines, these stories. We're not reviewing these books, so it has been a lot of fun. So we'll be back here before you know it.
Yeah.
So until next time, same bat time, same bat channel. We will see you later.
All right. Take care.